Conversations with My Son by Suzanne Miller. On the same day, in the same newspaper, this is what I read. In war-torn Africa, young girls are very, very old. 3 pages later, a village grows rich off its main export, its daughters. I rip out the articles to put in a folder thick with these clippings. A woman in India goes to the police to report a gang, and she is raped by the police. A Pakistani woman is punished for crimes her brother committed. UN peacekeepers in the Congo lure 12-year-old girls with cookies to do to them what is always done to them. I call my son. What does this mean? You're a man. Is this something you understand? Mom. There's a certain way, he says, Mom. That means whatever I want to talk about, he doesn't. Chill. Not now. Okay? I'm going into a meeting. I'm pulling onto the Disney law as we speak. Wait, I'll ask the guard at the gate what he thinks. Yeah. He says he's not getting it into me with it again. Fine. My son has been part of this sorrowful, tortured inquiry into the nature of humanity since he was old enough to ask why it was always the women who had to take their clothes off in the movies. Look, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry this is in the world. Call me after the pitch. What's it about? A mother and son's tortured inquiry into the sorrow nature of humanity. Which I'm hoping Disney thinks is about a girl who turns into a skyscraper. Well, if anyone can do it, remember the mantra, Mom. He names women who have changed history. He writes off female heads of states. I shoot back with baseball players and their stats. They'll probably make me turn the girl into a boy. Don't let them. I wish him luck and go on with my day. So many people seeking asylum, while I seek penance for my privilege. In the house where I grew up, there was a light at the end of the hall. Secure passage. I thought this was everywhere. I believed this to be like everyone's house. And so I installed a light at the end of the hall, where I live with my growing son. He's 17. He's just gotten off the phone with a girl. Abby's going out with a jerk. A jerk in what way? A jerk in the way he treats her. She shouldn't stay with him then. That's what I told her. Is he hurting her? Not physically, but man acting rotten. That's not being a man. Emily, Allison, Shoshana, these are not names in my son's little black book. These are young women who call him, who he meets for coffee, who come to our house for Scrabble, who seek his counsel, who counsel him. These are his friends, and their company becomes a man and what a man should be. But there was a period of time when he did not want to look at girls or women in the context of their historical play. He didn't care to hear my opinions on the subject either. So I mostly kept quiet when he was friends with ogled the opposite sex, which had really become for them suddenly a sex so opposite their own, they had no choice but to study it, to learn it, fall under its sway, to map it. This was, after all, a rite of passage, and I didn't want to deprive him of it. All I could do was hope he'd emerge someday from his hormonal stupor and once again recognize the opposite sex as human people from planet Earth. He's 30. I call him out of deep sleep. What is this date rape, Chuck? Why would a human do this to another human? I don't know, Mom. What if you have a daughter someday? Please. Why do you do this to me? I'm going back to sleep. We hang up. He calls back. I'd have her followed, I'd have her phone tapped, I'd hire someone to watch over her. Our conversation spills over to the next day. Just Crimes against women are different, he says. I mean, you don't worry about your son getting date raped. Maybe you worry your son raping his date. Jesus. Has the world eaten up and sucked out the soul of more people? Or do I just know more about it? I think men feel inferior in a lot of ways to do these things. And women pay the price. It goes way back. You know you can physically dominate, but there's an unwritten law. The man should never put his hands on a woman or a child. Women and children first is there for a reason. They're more important. I'm walking. I'm walking to figure what I'm thinking about. My cell phone rings. What's up with this American service woman putting an Iraqi prisoner on a leash? But who do you think gave the orders? Who put us there in the first place? Still. Mom, still. I miss him. I miss his face. So I fly out to visit him in LA. We're sitting with our coffee in the morning sun, watching people buy fruit and flowers at the farmer's market. While somewhere else has been another day of violence. How's the thing going with Disney? You know, they have all these concrete barriers up around the studio. Like, outside there's this acknowledgement that we're all in serious trouble. Then you go inside, and you're sitting in some executive's office trying to sell an idea. And they tell you they're only buying things that meet their mandate, which you know, and they know, will be completely different next week. And anyhow, whatever it is, it's not about anything that counts. It's not about these concrete barriers and what they mean. It's like they have no concept of the actual world in there. But you sold it. You got the deal. But I'm not so happy about it. I know what he means. I've been in those rooms, my purse bulging with small bottles of water offered to make it seem as though attention is being paid, and guest passes that allow you through the studio gates, but not into a place you recognize as having any connection to the place you're from. And my son is following the same thorny path. He's a writer. He's a writer like his mother. And although I worry about how he'll deal with rejection and compromise, and even success, I can't help feeling glad that he's a writer. Glad and hopeful. The market is in full swing now. And the breeze from the ocean brings such relief. It's enough to make you feel, for a moment, that everything is fine. I can tell my son feels this too. But he breaks the reverie. Someone had to. All those articles you send me that I wish you would stop sending me, well, I actually started reading them, he says. I mean, why is the world in an uproar? Why are we worried about bird flu when women are being mutilated and raped? Why aren't we marching on Congress for that? And nobody has a clue why we're in Iraq, but we would know why we were in Darfur. And maybe the privileged white kids who'd go to Canada to avoid a war they don't understand might actually go to a war to stop men from killing women. I'd have no problem, except for the food in the bathrooms. I laugh. And then I ask him how living with me and not living with both his parents affected his feelings about women. Is this a trick question? Seriously. If you're raised by a single mother, then you know a woman is as strong as a man. Stronger. I've seen mothers save their kids. I think boys brought up by their mothers are closer to them. It gives you more respect for the opposite sex. And I feel an obligation to write women stronger. I'm proud of him always. But at this moment, I'm also sure of him. Back in New York, the phone rings. So, what are their names, Mom? The woman in India, and Darfur, and Pakistan, and China, and here, in this country. What are their names? I read from my clippings. Wisha, Yijan, Solange, Mukhtar. That's your new mantra. As a little boy, My son imagines saving children and animals. Maybe just as his imagining protected them. As a man, my son loves women for their bodies, their difference, their strength. Maybe one man's love can be an example to other men. As a writer, my son portrays women the way he sees them. Maybe what he writes will one day let them be seen.